Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the Casual Sports Talk Podcast, Week 17 Stocks Edition. And now we got a gentleman right over here who's hoping everyone else wins and the Browns to lose for the number one pick. Here's Chris.
It worked out this past weekend. We got demolished by the Dolphins, and now we're projected to get the number 2 pick. I do believe we're right in the 3 to 4 range for the pick overall. So I love it, Stu. Keep the good times rolling in Cleveland.
Keep the good times rolling. You want the Browns themselves to a good draft pick, baby.
Well, and the city of Cleveland is like what's doing the Browns or something, gonna impose some laws and not allow them to move their stadium. Good times.
That's our mayor, Justin Bibb. He's trying to put a lawsuit against the Browns, but I'm pretty sure Jimmy Haslam could probably buy the entire city of Cleveland and just be like, no. But he owns the team. That's not going to happen. Bibb's going to lose a lawsuit. There's no point. Bibb just wants the money for. I mean, who doesn't want the money for the revenue for the city that you're in? So we're not. It's not like we're moving the team out of a county or even out of the state. It's going to be in the same county. County's called Cuyahoga County. Cleveland's in Cuyahoga County. The new location, Brook Park. It's 10 minutes down the road, not even. So Justin Bibb, mayor of Cleveland, he's going to lose that easily.
Oh, my goodness, and he's going to lose that. And now we got a gentleman right over here who's happy this year. We got some gold mines right over here in San Francisco. Here's Douglas.
It's a fun game, Stu. First game since 1937 with 10 touchdowns. I think it was like 0 turnovers and 0 punts, something like that.
Okay.
Maybe not on the turnover part. I lied on that part, but no punts and 10 touchdowns.
Yes, it is so crazy to think we're now in week 17. We got 17 teams left that are not eliminated officially from playoff contention, theoretically. What do you think about this week? I always say for me, there's a lot of hit and misses. There's some good games. I feel like the 1 o'clock games are kind of stunk, were clunkers, but I felt the Christmas games were really kind of bad. But overall, the Bengals Broncos game was my favorite of the week.
Yeah,
I just liked it because I'm still an NBA fan, especially because the Cavs are doing so well. But I'm more of an NFL fan than the NBA, and I'm glad that the NFL got more ratings or more viewers than the NBA. And what their NBA, they had 6 games on Christmas, whereas NFL had 2 games. Even though those games weren't too exciting, it was a score. I'm pretty sure it was a scoregami between the Ravens and the Texans, 31-2.
Oh no! Unfortunately, I don't think it did get to be a scoregami.
Oh, it did not. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was 2 other scores, and I was so disappoined. I wanted that scoregami. I wanted that scoregami.
But then the Thursday night game, we had another primetime game that was a complete blunder, 6-3 game.
I'm glad we don't lose. I will say we'll start, and I will say, speaking of that, we will start with our eulogies. Unfortunately, we got a lot of teams. We had a couple teams that unfortunately got eliminated, and we're going to have to start with the Seattle Seahawks. Unfortunately, gentlemen, the Seahawks. In our preseason, we were pretty much all in the mids to like positive on the Seattle Seahawks. I believe, if I remember correctly, that Christopher was the only one that was optimistic.
I had them as a 6 and also as a 6 seed.
Yeah, you thought they were going to make the postseason, and me and Douglas kind of thought they were going to be a mid-level team right over here. And I kind of feel like
you guys have them at a 4 or 5.
We got them both 4s. Me and Douglas felt like the Seattle Seahawks were going to be a 4. And I kind of feel like this is probably one of the few predictions that we were probably pretty accurate on, to be honest with you, the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the Seahawks, they should not lost to the Giants at one point. Like, I feel like we have the curse. If you lose to the New York Giants, your season's done.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you there. I mean, had the Rams lost to the Cardinals this upcoming Sunday, Seahawks-Rams, that would have been for the division and for a playoff spot. But that's not what happened.
Nope. And they had like a couple clunkers. I mean, they had an okay. I feel like Geno Smith is like an okay quarterback, and I feel like I'm kind of like view Geno Smith right now as like a okay replacement level okay quarterback right now. So I'm just like, meh. There's not really.
I would say he's in the high teens at best. Like, I don't even think he's in the top 15. I mean,
would you say replacement level okay? Would you put him in the?
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a viable starter. That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, the one advantage I feel like the Seahawks do is that they still have a quarterback, but still, they didn't get the hump. Nothing really changed in Seattle right now. They're kind of in that same spot as they were last year. I mean, even with the new coach and new everything, it kind of felt like nothing really improved, if that kind of made sense. They didn't go bad, but I don't
Seahawks
think
have good weapons. Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's
Mhm.
showing that he's a wide receiver 1. He had a great second half of the season. DK Metcalf, he kind of went downhill compared to the last few seasons. But, yeah, I mean, they have Zach Charbonnet, backup running back. Well, he finished as a starter because Kenneth Walker was injured from time to time. But Kenneth Walker, he's still an amazing running back. Zach Charbonnet, he had a great few games towards the end of the season. So they have the weapons. They just there's all the weapons aren't running together at the same time like they should.
No, unfortunately. Douglas, do you have any thoughts on the Seattle Seahawks and their inability to make it? Actually, I will say technically last year they were actually in the final week when they got eliminated. And this week it took them the second final week to get eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of feel like a team that's been stuck in football hell for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there were some nice signs. Like there were some really nice stretches of football there. They just didn't piece it together for a full season.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I feel like the future's bright. Like their coach is really solid.
Yeah.
Like Chris was saying, they have some really nice like building blocks, but they might want to take a look at that QB situation because Gino had a chance for some game-winning drives, and he threw at least 2 interceptions on those drives. So it's like that one of those games goes different. This is a playoff team. And like that's the difference in this league is one bad, play at the end of a game.
Yes. And also, I know we're not going to talk about that game that happened on Thursday night since basically the Seahawks are eliminated and the Giants are already eliminated. But my God, that was an awful game. 6-3, 14 punts total in that game for the second half. Nothing was scored.
It was the opposite of the Lions, 49ers.
Yes. It was like literally you could have just like cut that first half and been like that. Nothing changed. You could have just ended that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Seahawks did get the win, though.
They did get but the win didn't matter. It did not matter at the end of the day.
At the time, it did matter until Sunday when the Rams won.
Yeah, when the Rams won, and it was like, yep, you won in a technicality. So unfortunately, Seahawks. Unfortunately, the Crows took them out, and the Seahawks went under the sea. And now we got to talk about the Indianapolis Colts, who also got eliminated this week. We were pretty much in the same. It's kind of funny that we were in the same as, I felt about the Indianapolis Colts. Interestingly enough, Christopher, I remember you had some fever right there. And I just wanted to let you know, do you still have Flacco fever? Because apparently when we were
I only have Flacco fever when he comes to Cleveland and plays on the Cleveland team. Actually, I take that back. I did mention that I thought the Colts at one time throughout the several weeks of our podcast that the Colts would make the playoffs, and I did have a little bit of Flacco fever. But just like the Seahawks, the Colts need to find out what they're doing with their quarterback situation. Obviously, they're going to go with Anthony Richardson moving forward, but he needs to find himself as a quarterback because he's not consistent. I know I have no room to talk because I'm a Browns fan and our quarterbacks are very inconsistent, but we're talking about the Colts right now. And, yeah, Anthony Richardson needs to find himself because, he was not the starter here in week 17.
Yep, and unfortunately, and also I gotta say, I know that we're going to talk about that game that the Colts played, but my God, why did you lose to a garbage New York Giants team?
So the Browns could get a better draft pick?
No.
Like the Colts lost? Oh.
No, they lost to 45-33. Their defense gave up 45 points. 45.
Game of the week.
Yes.
That's something these teams have in common, apparently. Losing to the Giants.
Losing to the Giants. Should that be a asterisk if, that should be a playoff contention, gentlemen, where it's like, all right, here's the playoff contention. Like, okay, you have a good record, you do this. Oh, wait, you lost to the Giants. Eliminated. I don't care. You lost to the Giants, who's really bad.
So even if the Chiefs magically lose to the Giants sometime during the season, the Chiefs should be eliminated from the playoffs.
Yes.
Yay!
I'll do it. I'll
Let's go, Drew Lock.
Yeah, it gives the Eagles and Cowboys 2 chances to be eliminated a year. Yay!
All right.
I'm just saying, boo, 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 boo. But it's crazy. Drew Lock got 309 passing touchdowns and 4 TDs. Drew Lock got 4 touchdowns against a Colts team.
He was locked in, man.
And I know people were blaming Flacco for this game, but this is the defense fault. You gave it 45 points.
I mean, Flacco had a heck of a game. He had over 300 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, and like you said, it's definitely not Flacco's fault by any means.
No, definitely not Flacco's fault on that one. But interestingly enough, I was going to say that actually, Chris, you were also actually both me and Douglas basically gave him a 4. And Christopher, you thought the Colts were going to make it to the postseason, gave him a 6.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
I did give him a 6, but I gave I have it right here. I gave 8 teams a 6 or above. So I had to choose between a couple teams, and the Colts, even though I gave them a 6 as a ranking, I had them out of the playoffs. So I'm pretty sure I gave that to the Dolphins or the Jets or something like that.
Yeah.
I agree with what you said. I gave him a 6, which is 6 is making the playoffs, but no, I didn't.
Yeah. But I guess, gentlemen, I mean, what are your thoughts about the Colts season? It's now done. What do you think they need to do to get better? I mean,
I already said Anthony Richardson needs to find his groove. They have Joshua Downs. I think he's a second year.
Mhm.
They have a new wide receiver, I do believe, Adonai Mitchell.
yes.
He's a rookie. He hasn't done anything this year, so maybe he'll have a better second year. And they have the workload master, Mr. Jonathan Taylor. Hopefully he still has a couple years on his contract in Indianapolis because, like I always say, they have the weapons available, but they're not piecing them together.
No, they're not. And it's definitely – I feel like I said, not that surprised that this team got eliminated this late in the game. It's kind of funny because last season, just like the Seahawks, they also got eliminated on a Saturday game in the final week, if I remember correctly, against the Houston Texans. That was like a battle of who was going to make the postseason. It was the Texans versus the Colts, and the Texans won that game.
So they won me $5. Woo.
Boo, boo, boo. But fortunately for the Indianapolis Colts, there's no revolvers in these Colts.
Revolvers. Colts are the things on the bottom of a horse's foot.
Colt revolver?
Yeah, I guess in that sense.
I guess technically they're the horseshoe, but there's no revolvers in the Colts. Yeah,
John Stewart, how American do you think this team is?
Yeah, come on.
they're from Indianapolis. Come on, you're telling me there's not a lot of guns in
Indianapolis has plenty of wild horses that need horseshoes on the bottom of their feet.
So they're riding their horses while wearing a Colt revolver, and we're gonna, like I said, unfortunately, there's no revolvers left in these Colts. Actually, it's like, nothing in these Colts. Empty chambers for these teams. But anyway, we're going to start with the week 1 right over here. We're the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Were those the only 2 teams that got eliminated this week?
Yeah, only 2.
The Colts? All right, cool.
Yeah, so we only got 2 teams that got eliminated this week. Next week, we're only going to have 3 teams going to be eliminated in the postseason when we're going to talk about.
Right, yeah, Dolphins. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is probably going to be an easy one this week when we're going to talk about these teams. So the Pittsburgh Steelers lost to the Kansas City Chiefs 29-10. We're going to start with the Steelers. Man, I kind of feel like the Steelers have kind of been faltering a little bit after this loss. Did not look good in this game. I was not really impressed. Russell Wilson did not get any touchdowns. He did get an interception, but it's like, I'm not impressed with this team. But we're going to start with myself. So last week, I believe.
Stuart, I want to correct you. Russell Wilson did get a touchdown. It just wasn't passing. It was rushing.
Oh, no. Oh, no. What am I supposed to do?
Talk about the Steelers because you're up.
I got to talk about the Steelers. Sorry. I do actually have the list. I gave him a 7, and it looks like so.
Yeah, the median last week was a 7, so I think we all consistently.
The only problem is, so by the standings, if I'm correct on the standings right now, the Texans would have to play, as of right now, I believe they got to play against the Steelers. And both teams look like absolute garbage right now. I'm not impressed with any one of these teams. Yes, they would play against the Steelers. Who would win? Oh my God, both of these teams look awful. And I don't even think they're going to beat the Bengals. I'm kind of not as confident right now that they could beat the Bengals right now.
Well, the Bengals still might sneak into the playoffs, too.
They might sneak in the postseason right now. I mean, like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a crapshoot, but like I said, they could sneak into the postseason. But do I think Pittsburgh, because both teams look awful, I guess I'll still keep them at the 7, but it's like a week 7. I feel like this week. I'm just kind of like, I've not been impressed with with this Colts team right now. So I mean, this Steelers team, I kind of been going down. I feel like this is back to like the old Steelers where I'm just kind of like, meh. Like they're making the postseason, but aren't you excited? Not really.
Stoked.
Alrighty. Now, Christopher, you're up next. And what is your thoughts on the Steelers?
I'm going to keep them at a 7. I know the Texans, they lost to the Ravens, but the Ravens are looking like a very well top 3 team in the AFC. So I can't really put the Texans or move them or thinking that they're going to beat the Steelers. They could possibly do it. That game is more than likely going to be a home game. Well, it will be a home game for the Texans because the Texans locked in as the 4 seed. So it more than likely will be the Steelers in Houston. I think the Steelers could pull it out. You know what? They haven't won a first round playoff game in a few years, right? So
it's been a while, to be honest with you.
Several years. So we can easily see the Texans, winning another first round playoff game back to back years. But yeah, I think the Steelers, they could do it. Russell Wilson, he had an off game. He only had 1 rushing touchdown, 0 passing touchdowns. But yeah, I say the Steelers could still do it. Keep them at a 7 for me.
Ooh, we got a 777. And now, Douglas, you last week gave them the 6. Do you think the Steelers team can beat the Texans?
I mean, I think they could. I don't know that they would. I think these two teams are about equal piles of crap right now.
Yes, I agree. I feel like there's a part of me that I'm just like, can we both give them a 6 just because I just don't feel confident in either one of those teams?
I think we mentioned it last week that there was a couple teams in the AFC we weren't really excited about, or it was just one. It was the Houston Texans. But now they're starting to be 2, the Steelers and the Texans. So excellent. Well said, Doug. Pieces of crap.
Yeah, no, it's hard to – this is a tough matchup, oddly enough. Like, I mean, I can't move them up. They got their asses kicked at home. Sorry for the language here tonight.
Don't worry, yeah.
I mean, I got to leave
in this family-friendly podcast.
Yeah. 6 it up for me, Stu. I can't move them up after that bad performance.
Yeah. So you're thinking that both well, I guess we'll talk about when we get to the Houston Texans, but I have a feeling you might give both of them a 6s. I'm just saying.
Well, it's hard to justify giving the Texans better, but for whatever reason too, they just play horrendous against the Ravens. Yes. Like I saw a stat that their average game against the Texans is like they lose by 20 points a game. Over the past 5 years, and it makes sense. It's always a dud game when those two teams play.
It is such a dud game, and it's just like, man, this is not. Yeah, that's why I'm just not impressed. And now, gentlemen, we got to talk about the interesting one right here. The Kansas City Chiefs are bouncing up. It is kind of interesting compared to last season. And if you remember correctly, Douglas, when they were kind of stumbling and kind of losing a little bit of games, I feel like the momentum is going up a little bit with the Kansas City Chiefs. Winning this game by 19 against the Steelers, that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start with you, Christopher. What is your thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs? I believe, if we are correct, we gave the Chiefs.
Well, yeah, the median was an 8. I think we all gave them an 8, right?
We all gave them an 8. So do you think we're going to bump them up or bump them down?
I mean, yeah, that first quarter looked amazing. Chiefs are looking like, I guess, an actual a team that should be 15-1. It was actually a close game up until the fourth quarter because it was 16-10.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then Mr. Patrick Mahomes took it away. Kareem Hunt rushing touchdown and Travis Kelce pass from Mr. Mahomes. Yeah, I'm gonna keep them at an 8 just because of what they're doing, how they're not about how they're doing it, but what they're doing. Yeah, they're going to Denver. I wonder if Mahomes, Kelsey. I wonder if they're going to be even playing. Hopefully not. Rush your players because they already locked in the number 1 seed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now this is going to be an interesting part, Douglas. As the Chief hater, and you have been not impressed with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
How do you feel
there's
about
a
this?
difference between a hater and not believing in them. I
But
respect what they've done.
but
No
but
respect.
you now feel like you've turned around with the Chiefs. I just wanted to ask you on that.
I mean, the more that they do it, and you start to see some of the explosive plays, you see some of the pieces coming together, and like Mahomes and Allen, they both have that ability where it's like they're amazing pocket presence, like they're so hard to sack, like weird angle throws, they keep getting it done. They're 15-1. Having the 1 seed locked up this early is darn impressive as well. But I mean, it's still hard to say that they're confidently better than the Ravens or the Bills head to head. Like, we got to see those games on the field. So, I can't guarantee anybody a Super Bowl right now.
Yeah.
So they got to stay in 8.
Yeah, I kind of feel like right now, I just feel like nobody I feel like is confident for that 9 at this point, in my opinion. And also, we should. I totally forgot about this, gentlemen. The Kansas City Chiefs are officially going to get the bye right now. They will not be playing 2 weeks from now. They'll be playing 3 weeks from now. And so,
and the way I'm looking at it, like we previously mentioned, Chiefs got the 1 seed locked up. I doubt the Broncos are going to beat the Bills. I doubt the Chargers are going to beat the Ravens. Bills home game, Ravens home game. And if we're saying the Steelers could possibly beat the Texans, who could? You never know, Steelers versus Texans, but there's going to be the Chiefs versus the Steelers or Chiefs versus the Texans.
Yeah, I think they're going to easily. I think they're going to smoke those guys. I honestly think it's going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. So, did you guys see? There's a fun fact. Do you know there's only 2 quarterbacks that have ever beaten Mahomes in the playoffs?
Try to think who beat Mahomes in the play. Was it Tom Brady?
Yeah.
And then the other one, Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
That's it.
That is so funny. That is literally it. And that is crazy to think. That is crazy to think in the last 5 years, the worst season for the Chiefs is losing the AFC Championship.
And it probably will be this year, too.
How dare you? I don't know. But, I mean, I think for right now, I'm going to keep them at the 8 because I think they will make that AFC Championship. I just don't 100% know if they're going to win that one. But I would put my money on them. I'm just saying.
Well, you already did, Stu. You already did.
I already did. So we'll see how it goes. And now we got to talk about another great team. Oh my God! I thought after the Christmas game, man, that's a bad game. But wait till I hear next week we're gonna have the next Christmas game. It's gonna be better. And boy, they got worse. Where the Baltimore Ravens beat the Houston Texans 31-2. Unfortunately, this was not a scoregami. I'm sorry, Christopher. But
love a good scoregami from time to time.
But we're going to start with you, Douglas. How do you feel about this Texans team who I feel like it's probably, even though they did win the division, this is kind of like the most weakest 9-7 team right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. They're kind of interesting because I like the way they built the roster in the offseason. I liked a lot of the things they did. It looked good early on with Mixon playing good and Diggs and Nico Collins, a nice combo. But I don't know, somewhere that just kind of got lost this year. Like maybe it was that weird game to the Lions where they just lost their confidence. But I don't know. It's you're kind of hoping that they get some momentum going here because it's like they're in the playoffs. But man, oh man, it's hard to see them making a run right now. So, I mean, I think I will give them the 6 personally.
Yes! Double sixes, baby!
But I can't guarantee that either. I mean, hopefully the seeding will change too. So, the Chiefs don't get to play this loser or winner, basically. I don't want the Chiefs to because the Chiefs, their last 2 games, destroyed the Houston and then they destroyed Pittsburgh. It's please give us a different matchup in the playoffs.
We can't have nice things, Douglas. I just want to let you know.
Give us Joe Burrow. Give us Joe Burrow.
That's why you got to let, This is why the Chiefs get to decide. They're like, do I want the Broncos in the postseason, or do I want the Dolphins in the postseason, or the Bengals in the postseason? Which one do I want to choose? It's your choose your own adventure.
Yeah, and they definitely don't want the Bengals there.
Now, honestly, I would probably want the Broncos if I was the Chiefs, to be honest.
I want the Broncos in the
I
playoffs.
think I would take the Broncos if I was
Only because there's a rookie quarterback, Bo Nix.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing if Bo Nix can lead his team to maybe the second round of the playoffs. That'd be great.
Yeah. Now, this game was pretty awful. The only highlight of that game is getting a safety by King Henry. And that was it. Everything else was awful. Defense was awful. Offense was awful. Everything was just awful. It's bad.
Was that ball on the 1 yard line? Because they're saying that Derek. I mean, I didn't really pay attention to either the Christmas Day games, but they're saying Derrick Henry was lined up 4 yards in the back in the end zone. So that means he was going for a power run.
Yeah, he was trying to. They were trying to do a power run, and then they just sacked him at the power run.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that was like the only one. And then don't worry, they once King Henry came back, he got like a 30-yard rushing. So good for you, King Henry. But this is like the most. Is this the weakest 6 team that's making the postseason? Like, besides the Buccaneers, would the Texans be number 2 in my opinion?
Well, why do you say the Buccaneers? Like
Buccaneers are definitely a great 6 team. I would even put them at a 7. If or when they make the playoffs.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I'm saying, going off your what you're saying, piggybacking off these two. I think this is the weakest team that's going to win a division, or that has already won a division, or that's going to win a division for sure.
Who would win the Texans or the Buccaneers? I think the Buccaneers would win.
Can you imagine if that's what the Super Bowl is going to be?
Texans versus the Buccaneers.
NFL scriptwriters won't do that because that'd be the least viewed Super Bowl not of all time, but in the last decade, more than likely.
Oh my God, that would be like the toilet bowl. That would be like the giant. I'm trying to think. That would be the Jets versus the Giants Super Bowl. I could see it in my eyes. I'm going to give them the 6 for right now because this is the weakest team. They did win the division. I can't lower them down to the 5 because I don't think they're like that bad, and per se, because they did win the division, and there are teams that are still fighting for that playoff spot that do have the same records as the Texans. I feel like if there was like a little bit less, then maybe I would lower it down. So, but I can't lower it that much. So, Douglas, you're up now. Christopher.
Short and simple, give them a 6. Yeah, they're not moving up, can't move them down. They're at a clinch spot, and I don't see them winning the way they're playing a first-round matchup. So, easy 6.
Yes. Though it is kind of funny to think about it. And now we talk about the next game, the Baltimore Ravens, is that both teams that won the Christmas games, all away games, and they won them decisively.
The better teams are on the road.
Yeah, the better teams are on the road.
I mean that Thursday night game too, man. Look at that. That's the away team won. The better team was on the
Monday
road.
night game too.
Yes,
that's right. That's 100% accurate.
Yes. So we got the Ravens right over here, who last week we all gave them the 7s. Man, this is going to be how do I feel about the Ravens? I mean, they're looking a lot more explosive. I definitely do feel like they are definitely improving from what they were early in the season when they were like 0-2 and they were almost close to getting 0-3. But they've been like bouncing up. I feel like Derrick Henry's been the Lamar Jackson been like unstoppable right now. This game has been like, this was a domination, basically. This pretty much showed, yeah, we're Baltimore. We're about to like wreak havoc on the postseason, and we're feasting on you Texans out of this game. So what would I put the Ravens? I still feel like because it's going to be tough, because if I'm thinking the seeding right now, the Ravens would have to play against the Bills.
No.
Can they beat Buffalo? Yes.
Why would they play Buffalo?
Yeah, Ravens would be playing at home against the Chargers.
I mean, sorry, the Chargers first week. I think they can beat the Chargers.
Yeah.
Let's get it out to the light. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to suck because no matter what, they'll have to go on the road to Buffalo or Kansas City if they play them.
Yeah. No, I think they would have to play, because I don't think – I'm trying to think. Would they? No. It would be actually. They would have to play against Buffalo no matter what because unless they lose.
Oh, you're talking about the second round? I
Yeah,
see what you're saying.
Yeah, the second
Stu.
round they would have to play against Buffalo unless Buffalo loses, which I don't think Buffalo is going to lose to the Broncos. I don't think this team can beat the Buffalo Bills.
I mean, they did 35-10 earlier in the year.
But that's different. I feel like that this is
Yeah, true. It is different.
But this is a better version of them too. That's what's scary.
Yeah, I think honestly, I'm gonna probably give them the 7 for right now, and and it's like hard to think who can they beat them, and I just don't know. I just feel like Bills Mafia has been going good. Josh Allen has been like dominating this game.
That game, Buffalo and Ravens, that game was in Baltimore, whereas this game would be in Buffalo. So trading places here, trading home field advantages.
All righty, so Christopher.
7. They're gonna beat the Chargers if that's the way it pans out. I could have swore I read somewhere that the top 4 divisions, the top 4 seeds were already locked in. But based on this.
Yes, basically.
No, they're not because
the Steelers could still win the AFC North.
Yeah.
So I could have sworn I read somewhere that it was truthful, but apparently that's not. But I mean, if the Baltimore Ravens win at home this upcoming week against the hard fighting Cleveland Browns, they're going.
Yes, I should say you are correct, Douglas. The Ravens have not clinched the division right now.
Yeah.
They're still in the lead for the division. They still got to win against the division. And also, I think also they got to at least win or have the Steelers lose.
Yeah, sounds for me because I don't see the Ravens beating. I don't see them losing to the Chargers, but man, it's gonna be a great matchup again. And like I said, trading home field advantages. First game was in Baltimore. If what we're saying is true, Ravens played Buffalo in the second round. That game's gonna be in Buffalo. Hopefully, it's a snowstorm because we know Josh Allen excels in snowstorms.
Yes, and interesting. They will be playing against the Browns this week, gentlemen. Yes. So, and let's be honest, they're going to have a tough time against the Browns, right?
Yeah, they lost them once already.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that game. So, the Ravens already clinched a playoff spot, but they're going for an AFC title. Are they going to sit Lamar Jackson or are they going to keep him in? I mean, I say they're going to start their starters. We're going to see Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, and Lamar Jackson out there because they're fighting for the AFC North title.
All right, and now it's up to you, Douglas. What is your thoughts on the Baltimore Ravens? Are you going to give them the 8s? Can they beat the Bills or they're not? This is the fun.
I mean, they can. They for sure can. It
But
sucks because
but do you
both
think
of these. What?
Do you think they can? Do you think they both would?
Well, we're waiting for his answer. He's explaining what he's about to say. Here.
Well, I was saying, I don't think they obviously both can't win. So they both could.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't.
I mean, I think both teams have both divisions have a clear top 3 teams, and it really sucks right now for Baltimore and Minnesota because they're probably the 2 strongest 7s that we're ever gonna have. Like Minnesota, I'm spoiling it, 14-2, probably still a 7. Baltimore, fresh off of back-to-back huge wins, they've had the number 1 ranked defense in the league for the last few weeks to go along with Lamar playing at an MVP level. And then you got Derrick Henry still. They have weapons they don't even use. Zay Flowers never gets touches, and he's amazing. He's just a really good decoy at this point. They're just well built, well coached. This is a good team, man, but they're still a 7 just because of the way Buffalo and KC are playing.
Yeah, I feel like these two teams, it's a tough one. I mean, it's kind of a shame because I feel like this Ravens team, I feel like should get to that Super Bowl caliber, but they're just close. But they're not close enough. A
few of the experts are predicting Baltimore to make it. That's who a lot of the experts have in the Super Bowl. Them. The one I saw today was them versus the Vikings. Well, it's possible. That's why it sucks that they both have to be 7s in our rankings.
It is possible, but I don't know.
I think I saw that too, Doug. I was like, man, Ravens, Vikings, that would be – I don't know if the NFL scriptwriters have it in them to make it that matchup, but that'd be interesting.
Yes.
They got to give Detroit one, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is Detroit's year. Let's do it.
Wow, write it in.
You didn't know, Douglas, the NFL scriptwriters had wanted a heartbreak loss for the Lions in the postseason?
Yeah, they're saving a big controversial call for the big games too. You know.
Yes. The tuck rule will somehow cost the Lions a playoff game.
Yeah, probably.
And then my prediction, Douglas will have like a 20-minute rant about why the tuck rule sucks.
Well, Stu, here's the good news: the Cowboys aren't in the playoffs, so that greatly diminishes our chances of being cheated by the refs. So we're okay. We gotta. If we play the Vikings or Packers, we might be doomed though. The Packers always get calls.
And if you play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, you're completely doomed. Because
Yeah,
man,
there's no chance, man.
Yeah, the referees and umpires, they love the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'd rather see Lamar, who I know would just run all over us.
Yeah.
But at least we'll get some calls.
Yes. But speaking of which of calls, we got to talk about the LA Chargers having a wonderful game. If you're a Chargers fan, the 8 Chargers fans that were in the country right now beat the New England Patriots 40-7 right now. My God, this game was awful, and the Chargers were just pretty much dominant in this game. So I guess I'll go first. How do I feel about the Chargers right there? And I guess I should say, gentlemen, they have clinched a playoff spot right now. They will be in the wild card right now. It is crazy to think the power of hardball got them into the postseason. And Douglas, you're right. I'm sorry. I do apologize for that argument that we had in the preseason. If you remember that, where I said the Chargers were not going to make it, and you got mad at me, and you said, it's hardball, baby.
Hardball, baby.
That sounds about right.
Yes.
We were.
Yes. So I'll go first. I think the Chargers, good for them. I think they punched up. But can they beat the Ravens? No. I don't think they can beat Baltimore. I don't think
Would it be Harbaugh versus Harbaugh again? And didn't the Ravens Harbaugh? That's John, right? Didn't he beat Jim the previous matchup in the Super Bowl?
Oh my God, that's the first time they played in the postseason since the Super Bowl.
That was Ravens versus Cardinals. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen.
Yes,
right?
it was Ravens versus 49ers.
Oh, 49ers. Okay, great.
That was Kaepernick was the
So
quarterback.
I was thinking about the same division. You guys had me, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was Kaepernick versus Joe Flacco, right? Joe Flacco's only Super
Wacko
Bowl.
for Flacco, baby. Get the fever.
You got the favor. So anyway, I don't think they can beat Baltimore, so I'm probably going to give them the 6. You know what? It's like funny because it just feels like, there's not really much improvement, gentlemen, on I feel like on these teams. I think there's not going to be really that much change. I gave them a 6 last week. We all gave them 6s. And spoiler, I think you're all going to give them 6s. So we'll start with you, Chris. Are you going to agree with the 6 or not?
I'm going to agree with the 6, but man, let me tell you, if J.K. Dobbins, he had a great game, but we have another Rookie of the Year contender amongst us, and that's Mr. Ladd McConkey. Yeah, he went off. And if Herbert and McConkey, if they match up well against the Ravens in Baltimore, assuming that's going to be the matchup, yeah, we might have a tough battle there. So, but yeah, right now it's a 6 because I just feel like the Ravens they're putting their stuff together, and I don't think the Chargers will be able to beat them.
All right, Douglas, what is your thoughts on the Chargers?
They're a 6. That's unfortunate that they'd have to play Baltimore. Also, Stu, in support of Chris Theodore, I saw some rumblings after this game that the Patriots might consider moving on from Mr. Mayo.
Ooh.
What? After 1 year?
They said he might, because they just came out so flat. And it's like if they see some progress, then sure. But this is one of those games where you kind of reevaluate everything.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I'm going to go on my rant. You're going to fire your coach unless he's like an awful human being.
Well, you don't judge someone off their human beingness. You judge them off their coaching ability.
But they're like an awful. But it's like.
Look at the Browns quarterback.
Yeah.
You don't judge him off how he is as a human being. You judge him off his possible skill set.
And his possible skill set is the same as him as a human being, and it's garbage right now.
All right, back to your rant here, Mr. Steve.
But I just feel like, why do you fire your coach after 1 year? You should have not hired him in the first place if you're going to fire him after 1 year. I feel like we're so impatient as NFL fan. We're thinking 1-2 years we need to bounce up and we're getting to the postseason. It takes a lot longer.
Stu, the Chargers just did it.
But the Chargers, hear me out. The Chargers, in my opinion, I think 8 out of the 10 losses last year were like less than 5 points. So it wasn't like that they needed to correct a lot, if that kind of makes sense.
Heck yeah, Jim Harbaugh's the man.
Yeah, I just think they didn't have But, I mean, I always say it. Tom Landry could not survive the modern NFL, and he won 2 Super Bowls. First 5 years when the Cowboys started, they had a losing record, and they still kept him as a coach. It's crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it depends, too, on how you interact with people in the building, what kind of a program you're building. Because, like, if you have, like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to follow Bill Belichick, man. Like, following a legend like that, it's just a sucky situation.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes. I mean, granted, we need to talk about the Chargers, doom and gloom, success. They're looking good. I think nothing's going to change right over there, and I feel like that's pretty much good. And now we got to talk about honestly, I think this might have been my favorite game of the week right now, was the Denver Broncos went to overtime and lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh, my God, I thought the Bengals were going to lose this game, and then it was like, oh, my God, Bengals were going to lose this game. But the Broncos were like, hold my beer. I will show you how to lose this game. And then they were like, wait a minute. We can just tie? Nope. We're not going to stop. We're going to still give time. And the Bengals won this one in overtime, beating them 24-30. We'll start with you, Christopher. What is your thoughts on the Denver Broncos, who have still not clinched the division as of right now? They still theoretically have to win next week to clinch the division.
Broncos are not clinching the division, Stu. Sorry to.
They have not clinched the division right now.
Well, they can't. They're in the division.
Yeah, they're not going to, Stu. The Chiefs already clinched the division.
No, I'm sorry. Clinch the wild card.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I mean, last week the median was a 6 for the Broncos, and right now they would be playing up against the
Buffalo Bills. Buffalo. Yeah. They got to go to Bills Mafia.
I mean, they're gonna stay at 6. I mentioned earlier in the podcast it would be amazing to see Mr. Bo Nix, a rookie quarterback, leading his team to a victory against the Bills and into a second-round matchup against more than likely the Chiefs, but that won't happen because the Bills just have MVP frontrunner Josh Allen at the helm. Plus, I mean, if the Denver Broncos, if they would have just tied that game, I think they would have clinched the playoffs.
Yes, they would have clinched the division if they would have tied it.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously the Bengals wanted it more because the Bengals still want to make the playoffs. And who knows, next week, the Bengals could be a 6 and the Broncos could be a 5. So right now the Broncos are in the playoffs.
Well, or like I said,
the Dolphins.
I mean, it's either the Broncos are going to have to win this game, or
I'd rather out of these 3 teams, Broncos, Dolphins, Bengals. I'd rather see the Bengals because I love Joe Burrow the way he's been performing.
I actually would agree with you. I actually would like to see the Bengals.
But chances of that happening because the Dolphins have the tiebreaker over the Bengals. Dolphins are playing the Jets this upcoming weekend, so I don't see the Dolphins losing that game because the Dolphins. I was at the Browns Dolphins game on Sunday. And, man, their fans travel well. So I can imagine there's going to be plenty of Dolphins fans in the stadium for the Jets game. I don't see the Dolphins losing the Jets. So, unfortunately, the Bengals won't make it, but we're talking about the Broncos. The Broncos are playing the Chiefs. I'm not like I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if the Chiefs star is going to be playing. If Kelsey's
the Chiefs as of right now, it looks like reports that starting Wentz, resting Mahomes. So it is
okay. So the Broncos.
So can the Broncos beat the B squad of the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, so the Chiefs could end their season 15-2. Broncos, they win, they're in. So yeah, give me a 6 right now.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like this is gonna be an easy.
Well, yeah, Denver's currently a 10.5-point favorite to win against the Chiefs.
I mean, can the Broncos literally lose? If they lose to the B squad of the Chiefs, they lose to Carson Wentz as the quarterback. Honestly, you don't deserve to make the postseason.
I mean, it's not always about the quarterback. It's about the weapons you have available.
But still.
I mean, they have 2 running backs, Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, and they've been winning with both of them ever since Isaiah came back 3 weeks ago. They've been using Noah Gray and Travis Kelce equally. Their wide receiver, if DeAndre Hopkins, if DeAndre Hopkins catches 1 more touchdown this season, he gets a $500,000 bonus. So he's probably looking to get a touchdown. So, yeah, maybe like DeAndre Hopkins going to be, hey, Wentz, throw me the ball, and then they'll win. But, yeah, we'll see. But I like that Doug looked up minus 10.5 in favor of the Broncos. That is great because that game's in Kansas City, right?
Yeah. Let me double check.
No, I think it's a home one for Denver.
Yeah, it's a home one, actually. So now Doug.
Oh yeah, 425 in Denver. Nice, Mile High. The altitude is going to make the Chiefs lose.
Mile
I
High,
love
baby.
that. I love that those two games are at the same time too. The Dolphins, Jets, Chiefs, Broncos. Because the Bengals, I think they play on Saturday.
Yeah,
So
8 p.m. prime time against the Steelers.
Yeah, so if they win, they get to be locked in real time and hope for a couple of L's.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Broncos got to be a 6. I mean, they might slip all the way out of the playoffs with a loss. Like the Jets versus Dolphins is kind of a coin flip too.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though the Jets
So I
are
mean,
good,
it's it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. I mean, I would love to see Joe Burrow as well in the finals, but Bo Nix would be fun too. Like their defense can play pretty well sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like a lull Jets this season for the Jets. Let's be honest. They've been an absolute tire fire. I mean, but we're going to talk about the Denver Broncos right now. And I honestly do think the Broncos are going to make the postseason. I think if gun to my head, I think they're going to make the postseason next week. And we're going to probably write down the eulogy for the Bengals and the Dolphins for next week. So I think they're going to get 6. They're not going to lose to a B squad with Carson Wentz.
Ooh, we're going to put money on that, Stu?
I'll put a $5 on that.
Let me think about that. when we get to that slideshow,
we got to think about that slideshow. We got to think about it. I think they're sitting him out. They're going to be tanking. Let's go. Denver got this win.
But the thing is, too, when the Chiefs didn't have Chris Jones this last weekend, it didn't matter. Like their B squad was so well coached, and like Mike Dana and some of the other guys were just sitting there sacking poor Russell Wilson like crazy. So the Chiefs, man, they got some depth, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It could happen.
And it could happen. But now we got to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, who beat the Denver Broncos in overtime, 30-24. The Bengals are in a tough bind right now to make the postseason. They are not in the postseason right now. They have to hope for the Broncos. They got to have the Bengals to win, Broncos to lose, and the Dolphins to lose to make the postseason. That's a tough road ahead. Can they make the? I mean, I would love to have the Bengals make the postseason. And I did have a joke that I said we're going to write their eulogy this last week. I think next week we're going to write the eulogy on the Cincinnati Bengals. They've been looking good. The defense is getting a little bit better. Granted, it was a lot. I feel like this week they kind of don't forget about that missed field goal kick. That was a heart wrench. Like a 34-yarder in the indoor dome, and they messed that kick up. Oh my God. I was actually with my family that was all Bengals fans. And
wait, what kick are you talking about?
The overtime kick. They had a kick in overtime, and it was like a 40-yarder or like a 38-yarder, and they like missed it.
Are you talking about this past week? Because you said indoor dome, and that really confused me.
No, it's outdoors. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say last time I went to Paycor Stadium, that thing is there's no top whatsoever.
Yeah, there's no dome in Paycor Stadium.
No, Paycor Stadium is not. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a missed kick at one point at the end, but
missed field goal. I see.
With their backup kicker, and my sister's husband was not happy about that. He was like, "Fire this guy, cut him right now." This is why I would never be a kicker. I'm just saying, if I had to be in an NFL position, I would never want to be is a kicker, because no matter what, you do well, no one's gonna care. You mess up, everyone hates your guts. So I'm gonna give them the 5 for right now. I think they are deservingly of the 5 right now, in my opinion. So
that's who exactly I thought the Bengals kicker was. He used to be a kicker for the Cleveland Browns. So go figure, he's missing field goals over here. Bengals, give me a 5. For them to make the playoffs, it's going to have to be a miracle. Whether we take that $5 bet, me with the Chiefs, you with the Broncos too. I'm leaning more towards the Broncos right now. And so is Vegas, because Doug said -10.5. And then, you also have to have the Dolphins lose to the Jets. So I don't even know what the probability of that is. But, I mean, right now, NFL is saying even if the Bengals win, they only have 11% chance of making it. So that means, obviously, the Broncos losing and the Dolphins losing. So, easy 5. They're going to be just on the cusp of making it, but will not be making it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like I've had them at about a 4 or 5 most of the year, I feel like. So, I mean, I'll end with a nice 5. Like, it'd be fun, man. I mean, sure as heck the Bills don't want to see Joey Burrow traveling up there in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that would be a tough one. So I think honestly, they're like praying and hoping. Please get me Bo Nix. Please let me get Christian music lover Bo Nix. Yes, that's his thing. He loves Christian music. Apparently.
I think we mentioned that either last week or a couple weeks ago about he's the second coming of Mr. Tim Tebow.
Yes,
Oh,
he is Tim Tebow. Is he the reincarnation of Tim Tebow?
I mean, reincarnation is that like Tebow? The person would have to be dead, and then the reincarnation.
Or should I say football dead?
Is reincarnation the name of Eric Hartman's Christian music album?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes, the Tim Tebow.
No, the Eric Hartman. Remember the episode of South Park? I think there's gonna be a Bo Nix spoof on an episode of South Park soon.
Oh, really?
As he joins Eric Hartman's Christian rock band.
Nice.
I told you.
We have to watch that episode. That sounds like a great one.
They're already in Denver. It won't be hard for them to find.
No,
they're already in South Park, Colorado.
Exactly.
Yes, but we all kind of feel like the Bengals are not going to make the postseason, and we agree, gentlemen, we're probably going to write their eulogy next week, in my opinion.
I mean, 90% of the time, but I'm still holding out hope.
You're still holding on hope. And now we got the other game right over here. The Rammies beating up on, not really beating them up, 13-9 against the Arizona Cardinals, who are already eliminated. And just for that win, gentlemen, the Rams have clinched the division and will be playing a home game in 2 weeks in SoFi Stadium. So we're going to start with you, Douglas. As a Stafford whisperer, how do you feel about Stafford right now?
As a Stafford what?
Whisperer? You like to whisper to Matthew Stafford?
Do you know where my loyalty lands? Jared Goff. Jared Goff.
Hey, is it? I forgot the bowl name that's played at Ford Field. Did you guys know the bowl name? Well, it doesn't matter. I was watching it. I think it was on after Christmas Day, but I was watching it, and every so often you just have people in the stands chanting Jared Goff, Jared Goff, and neither of the teams were from the state of Michigan, so it's probably just a bunch of Michigan fans or Detroit fans.
Yeah. Heck yeah, dude. Detroit loves Jared Goff. I don't know what you're talking about, the Stafford stuff. Stafford didn't take us to the NFC Championship or win us a division title still. Yeah. He helped get us 2 first-round picks. That helped with this rebuild.
Yep.
So thank him for that.
Yep. Probably one of the few Super Bowl trades where it actually worked for the Rams and worked for the Lions also. Like, it was a win-win for both teams.
It sure feels that way, Stu. We love our Jared Goff.
You love your Stafford. So, what is your thoughts on Stafford and the Rams?
Well, just saying. Okay, I guess not. Stafford's in. Okay.
I know. I'm sorry. We're talking about the Rams. So,
Matthew Stafford's on the Rams. That's why we're talking about him.
I know. I just don't want to be mislabeled as a giant. I mean, I like Stafford. Like, he was cool in Detroit, but like, Goff is our quarterback, Stu.
All right. But what is your thoughts? Okay, so the Rams would theoretically play against the
Commanders
right now
in Los Angeles.
So that's a great game, man.
Last week we all decided the Rams were a 6.
Can they beat?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give them the 7. Like, ooh. I like what the team does a lot, man, and like a home game in LA. Like, they're one of 2 teams to beat Minnesota this year. They've played a lot of teams really tough. They took the Lions to overtime in week 1. Like, really solid team, man, that could make a nice run of this playoffs.
And it's crazy to think they had a crazy turnaround because if you look at the regular season, in week 5 they were 1-4 and they made the postseason. Isn't that incredible to think about?
You don't have Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, or any of your star players.
Yeah, and now they got the star players. So I actually agree with you with more Douglas because I feel like they got their stars back. Their injury bowl is now done. And now I think they honestly could probably, and like I said, I feel like they're more battle tested. Granted, they did lose against the Lions last season, but Stafford has won a playoff game against the Rams 2 years ago.
They won a Super Bowl.
They won a Super Bowl. So I think, honestly, I think it's going to be more who's the more, and Koopa Nakua is right. Actually, I don't think Koopa Nakua has won a playoff game against and Cooper Cup probably, but I think they could beat the Commanders. So now it's your turn, Fyodor. What is your thought?
I'm going to agree with you guys. I'm going to give them a 7. I think with it being a home game, they could take care of the Commanders, and that game is going to be so low scoring. And I say that because the Rams are on a 5-game win streak. Commanders are on a 4-game win streak. But out of their last 5 games on their win streak for the Rams, besides that Bills game where they gave up 42 points, they gave up 14 points to the Saints, 6 points to the 49ers, 9 points to the Jets. Jets aren't good, but nonetheless. And then 9 points to the Cardinals. And also, the Cardinals were about to win this game in Los Angeles on Sunday, but there was an interception in the end zone that sealed the deal. So the Rams, their defense has exceptionally well been stepping it up. So if this game, if this matchup comes to fruition, I think the Rams are going to take care of the Commanders, which I don't want that to, because like I like rookie quarterbacks, and I would want to see Jane Daniels excel, go to the second round. But I'm going to agree with you guys on this because the Rams defense has completely been stepping it up these last few weeks and hopefully going into the playoffs.
Yes. Are you saying you like rookie quarterbacks and cannot lie?
I was trying to go off with more lyrics off that. Yeah, I like rookie quarterbacks, and I cannot lie.
Yes, I knew it.
You other brothers may deny
that when a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I like a good veteran superstar quarterback.
I hate these veterans.
Matthew Stafford.
I love Stafford. I love grit.
Yeah. Now, gentlemen, I guess we're going to talk about another boring game right now. The Buffalo Bills beating up the butt fumble of all, the JETX, Jets, 40-14. This was not.
I mean, if you're a Bills fan, it's not boring when you're.
I will say, yeah, you're a Bills fan. This is the greatest game ever. If you're an NFL fan, you're just like, I'm gonna just flip in the channel right now to find something else. But
thank goodness for Red Zone.
Thank goodness for Red Zone on this one. But I guess I'll go first. Buffalo still looks legit. They're gonna play against the Broncos. I think they can beat the Broncos. I think they can beat the Ravens. I don't know. Can they beat the Chiefs?
This is so your logic always confuses me though, because they beat the Chiefs. And they
But
lost
and they beat them in the
and they lost the Ravens.
Yeah, but I feel like the postseason, that's the one thing is like.
True, postseason is different than the regular season.
Yeah, postseason, the regular season, and the postseason, the Bills and the Ravens have shown Josh Allen cannot beat Patrick Mahomes in the postseason. That's a fact.
Well, that's not a fact that he can't. He hasn't. That's a fact.
Yeah. I mean, right now, as of right now, if that makes sense.
And well, that's why I said he hasn't. That's
Yeah.
a more clear term than he can't.
All right. Sorry. I'm sorry I got screwed. This is so fun. But anyway, I'm still thinking that they're probably the 8. I think they're probably going to make the NFC
Well,
Championship.
we all agreed on the 9 last week, so you're going to downgrade them there, Mr.
I think I gave them an 8.
I know the median, we gave them a 9. So
I gave them an 8 last week.
All right, so Doug and I gave them a 9. All right.
Yeah, keep it simple then.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a 9 as well. I'm not gonna decrease their value because they put a whooping. I know they should have put a whooping on them by 26 points.
I mean, it's a garbage Jets team. Let's be honest, but
and
still.
yeah, it wasn't Allen's best game. I mean, he only threw for 182 yards. I mean, he still had 2 touchdowns. We've seen way better games from Allen, and if he's going mediocre status here based on Allen's usual games, and they still win 40-14.
I mean, to be fair, the Jets did get 2 touchdowns in like 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, so it could have been like
well, because also Aaron Rodgers quit on the team. So yeah, what you're saying.
Shocking. Aaron Rodgers quit on the team.
It should have been 40-0 because they put in Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Well,
I'm so shocked that Aaron Rodgers quit on his team.
Even the Buffalo Bills pulled Jared Allen not Jared Allen. Thinking about the Cavs. Even they pulled Josh Allen in the fourth quarter. So yeah, 9 for me for the Bills.
If you gentlemen were superstar quarterbacks at the tail end of your career, would you change franchises and try to win one more time?
I mean, we all know one guy who did that.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's one
Mr.
guy.
Tom Brady.
Exactly. One that has like 3 or 4 that it hasn't worked out.
Yeah, there's been 3 or 4.
Does it tarnish your legacy, or it could strengthen it? Like Tom Brady's easily the GOAT now.
Yeah.
But
we're speaking of Aaron Rodgers possibly here. Was it his decision or the Packers' decision to let him go?
The Packers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of more mutual. Wouldn't you say it was more like the Packers, but it was also Aaron Rodgers also?
Well, I mean, they said that they were going to Jordan Love, so I mean, it was their choice.
Yeah, so it seems like, yeah, I mean,
if he had much of a choice, said, Jordan's ready, I'm out.
I think Aaron Rodgers would have stayed with the Packers if he was going to be the starter, but since they had Jordan Love at the helm, that's why he went to a different team.
Yes. But anyway, what did you?
Yeah, to answer your question, Doug, if I was Aaron Rodgers, I'd try to go to a different team, see if I could pull one out here.
Yeah, but it has not been successful. But anyway, Douglas, what is your thoughts on the Buffalo Bills?
I mean, I gave him a 9 last week. I'm not gonna lower him down after a very convincing win.
Oh my goodness, and that's gonna be interesting. Honestly, I hope I pay you money, Douglas. I think I want the Buffalo Bills to make the postseason. It would be an interesting story time to talk about the Buffalo Bills because they went from like a lol-cal joke 7 years ago to legitimate. That's what happens when you get a good quarterback and good players. You know what I mean? And ownership that doesn't meddle in.
Well, I mean, this year we all thought that they'd take a step back, but the Bills and Chargers both kind of proved that receivers can be a dime a dozen in some extent.
Yeah, I personally did not take the Bills making the playoffs. I don't know. Did you guys even?
No, nobody picked the Bills to make the playoffs.
Yeah, we all thought they'd take a step back. The Jets and Dolphins would take a step forward in this division. And
yeah.
I guess that's what happens when you get rid of Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
You become a better team.
Exactly. The 2 teams that he left are a couple of 8s and 7s.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He left barely in the playoffs. Unreal.
Unreal indeed. And now we got to talk about my least favorite game of all time.
But Stu, they had their backup quarterback in, and you guys were going to kick
third string, darn it. They had Kenny Pickett. They had a third string. We still lost 41-7.
Who's the Eagles' backup quarterback? If you're saying he's a third string, Stu.
Well, they had Kenny Pickett, and then whoever started on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, Kenny Pickett did start on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh well, some other guy had a touch. Who was it, Stu? What was his name?
Oh my God.
Oh, Tanner McKee.
Tanner McKee, I believe.
Honestly, he must be the third string because Tanner McKee. Good old Tanner McKee. He's not going to be the backup.
I mean, I guess they probably did put Ken McKee in the game, but also, gentlemen, I guess we got to have some sad news to address. The Dallas Cowboys officially.
Sure, no. Cowboys have already been eliminated. We already talked about them.
You can't talk about how they released Ezekiel Elliott.
Stu, you won't let me ask questions. You're talking about the Eagles.
All right, fine.
Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott. His career's over for the most part. He's becoming washed up.
He's so washed, dude. But they said they want to give him a chance to make a playoff, so maybe he'll go sign with the Eagles.
No, I guess we should talk about the interesting. I'll give him I guess there's been a interesting beef a little bit that Eric Dickerson, who has the rushing yards record for one season, Saquon Barkley is almost close to getting that.
Well, before you go any further, Saquon Barkley has already been ruled out for this upcoming Sunday's game, so that record will not be passed. And even if that record was passed, I believe because the NFL used to be 12 games, then 14, then 16, and now 17. I think each era of those different length of season for regular games should have their own records. Like Eric Dickerson, he was the rushing leader for the 16-game season. O.J. Simpson, he was the rushing leader for the 14-game season. And if Saquon actually played this upcoming week against whoever they're playing and he broke the record, that would be a record in his own category. But the NFL is not doing that. So was that the beef, Stu? Because, Saquon's not playing this Sunday.
Yeah.
He's already been ruled out.
Yeah, so they're playing against the Giants. It doesn't really matter. They're going to – it doesn't really mean –
but that would have been the perfect game to do it, a meaningless game against your old team.
He could run 300 yards probably.
Yeah.
He probably could have done 350, let's be honest. The Giants are just going to – this is what the Giants are going to do. I just roll over and die at this point. It's over. We just want that draft picks.
I mean, if they wanted the top draft pick or one of them, they shouldn't have beat the whoever.
They shouldn't let them. Oh my god.
Yeah. But anyways, back to the Eagles before we get off tangent here. Yeah, give me an 8 because there's another team that I really like that might be the 9. But yeah, Eagles are at the 8 right now for sure.
Yeah, and also I kind of agree. I just don't know if they can be the 9. I don't think there's anyone in the NFC I feel like is the 9 in my opinion right now.
Yeah, it's hard to call anybody a 9. They all have their flaws.
Yeah, I feel like they all kind of have their flaws a little bit in every one of them, but it would be tough. It would definitely be a monster to like play against the. And they did play against the Packers. They did beat the Packers, but this was week 1. But I think the Packers are probably not going to win.
Well, if we all agreed that the Rams would beat the Commanders and the Eagles versus the Rams, I'm taking those Eagles all day.
Mm-hmm.
So the Eagles are going to be marching on to the they're going to be cawing into the NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, the Eagles are just dominant, man. I mean, that defense is one of the best in football. Saquon is one of the better running backs in the NFL. It's hard.
If it's just one.
Yeah, it's probably the best one. But man, oh man, dude, Jahmyr Gibbs is different, bro. Like, every time that dude touches the ball, it's 10, 12 yards. But Saquon's amazing. Give me an 8 for them.
Oh,
Like, if they had the 1 seed, man, that'd be real hard to win. Thankfully, they might have to go on the road for a game.
so are you going to give him 8 Saquon touchdowns?
Is that how many he has on the year?
I don't know how many Saquon touchdowns.
I think Saquon has 13, but he should have like 16 or 17 solely because the tush push to Mr. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, see, he's only has, as of right now, his rushing yards is about 2,005.
Mm-hmm.
But he is not close to getting the Eric Dickerson record. But hey, the Eagles look legit, and I hate my life right now just because of that. Yes. And now we got to talk about another game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another great game. And great, I mean, terrible. 48-14. I guess we're going to start with you, Douglas. What is your thoughts about Baker Mayfield? Technically, they still have not clinched this division right now. This garbage of a division who I'm still like, ugh.
Well, here's my thoughts, too. I sure as heck don't want to see them in the playoffs. I mean, they beat the Lions in like week 3 or 2, whatever it was. Like, Baker Mayfield is a competitor, man. And this team, I mean, if they would have obviously beaten the Cowboys a couple weeks ago, like they're one of the hotter teams in the league.
They would have made the postseason. And I would write down the Falcons eulogy already. But nope.
Yeah, it'd be nice, man, because I really hope that the Falcons don't make it. The Buccaneers, though, man, like they're a scary team. Like I was thinking about a world in which like the Lions have to be the 5 seed and play in Tampa, and that sucks. Like that would be a pretty rough first round playoff game. But I mean, I'm gonna give them the 6 just because I mean they'd theoretically be playing Minnesota or Detroit, and it'd be a tough matchup, but they could win it for sure.
All right. So last week I gave him a 4. It was kind of funny. Christopher gave him a 5.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So you gave him a 4. Doug gave him a 6. And I gave him a 5.
Take them down. I went from like a 7 to a 4. I mean, they're okay, but I'll put it this way. If the Buccaneers were any other division except for the South, would they make the postseason? If you put them randomly in the NFC West.
Yes.
Or the NFC, you'd think they would put them in the number 1?
Oh, and the what? Them and the Rams would be real close, man.
Yeah. Or if you put them in I don't think they would be good in the NFC East. I don't think they would be great in the NFC North. I think they'd be garbage.
What about the AFC South? They're going to change conferences.
Right.
I don't know, but
no, they would destroy in the AFC South. They would get 6 easy wins. Since, obviously you guys know they play each team in the division.
Yeah, so I feel like the Buccaneers I know they look legit, and I know you still argue with that, Douglas. I'm still probably going to give them the 5, just in my opinion, because there's teams that are eliminated, like the Seahawks that are 9-7.
Aren't the Buccaneers 9-7?
Yeah, but the Buccaneers are in a garbage NFC East team, NFC South. And
but I just looked at the 2 teams, the Buccaneers have been more impressive all year long than the Seahawks, too.
But I feel like if you put in, I don't know. I don't know. I still feel like they're still 5. I know we can tend to disagree on that one, but I just feel like they're still 5 in my opinion because I just don't really appreciate how bad. I still feel like this division is not good. And now, Christopher, what is your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, I gave them a 5 last week because had the Falcons beat the Commanders, the Falcons would be in first place because they had the tiebreaker. But the Falcons, I think they ruined their destiny and possibility of making the playoffs with that loss to the Commanders. Buccaneers, they play the Saints at home this Sunday. Falcons play at home against the Panthers. Both home teams should be able to win that. If not, if the Falcons win, they're in. If Buccaneers lose, they're out. But you win, Buccaneers, you win, you're in. So yeah, 6. Yeah, they should make the playoffs. They should beat the Saints. So like I said, Buccaneers, they win, they're in. They clinch the division. But yeah, them playing against the Vikings, right? That would be a matchup. Yeah, nah. Whether it's the Vikings or the Lions, neither of those teams are going to lose to the Buccaneers. Yeah, 6 for me for the Buccaneers.
Man, dude, the NFC wild playoff picture is wild. Though, seeing the Packers versus Rams, the Buccaneers, Vikings, or Lions, the Eagles, Commanders, even those are 3 really fun matchups.
They're the fun ones. I mean, this is a very fun one. I mean, except for maybe I don't know how I feel about the Tampa Bay, but I feel like everyone else is it's going to be interesting. I feel like all these wild cards are just man, it's just a battlefield of man, I would be so nervous if I'm the Eagles got to play against the Packers, if I'm the Commanders playing against the Rams, even Tampa Bay, I would be so scared to play against Minnesota or the Lions. I would be oh, I would be nervous. And now, speaking of which, we got to talk about the other game. The Miami Dolphins beat up on the Brownies 20-3. I guess we'll start with you, Christopher. What is your thoughts on, since you watched this game as a Browns fan?
Yeah, going to the game was pretty sweet. We were in section 532, which is the upper bowl. We were lucky enough to get moved down to section 112. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, moving down to section 112, that's how I found out that the Dolphins fans travel well, because we might have been one of I was a group of 4 of us. We were probably 4 out of only 20 people in that entire section. We were surrounded by teal and orange. Yeah, Dolphins, they want to make the playoffs, and so do their fans. But I don't see the Broncos losing to the Chiefs. And with that being said, Broncos beat the Chiefs. Dolphins are out. So Dolphins, they're 5 on the ranking scale for me, just like we gave them last week.
Yep. And now, Douglas, what is your thoughts on the Dolphins right now?
Man, oh man, just too little, too late. They've been up and down for me. They've been a little bit too inconsistent. But I mean, there's 3 or 4 teams this year that it's you just wonder what they could have been if they stayed healthy.
Yeah, if you would have Tua, because before when Tua was out, you had 2 out of 6 losses.
Mm-hmm.
And post Tua, they only had 2 losses.
Well, and their losses were bad too. They had the worst offense in the NFL without Tua.
My God.
Because I mean, they were putting up no points. They
were collapsing badly. They lost to the Tennessee Titans, the Seahawks by 21, the Buffalo Bills by 21. He lost the Seahawks by the Titans by 19, the Colts by 6, the Cardinals by 1, and then you did beat the Buffalo Bills again, but like I said, by 3. You did come back once Tua came back, but still.
Yeah. I mean, they got smoked by the Titans, which is surprising. They lost a lot of games that they should have won. Yeah. But I mean, that's also the case of a team like Tampa Bay, but they're, in a division where they can still make it.
Yeah. And I believe is Tua out for this week?
I don't know. They weren't sure if he was going to play. I saw that earlier in the week, but
yeah, there's been this thing, because Tua got hurt in the Browns game, so we don't know if Tua is going to be back for the final game against the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, this team's definitely a 5 for me. I mean, they still can make the playoffs, but it's hard to envision. Because I mean, I don't think them in New York is even a guarantee. So I mean, you got to hope that the Broncos lose, and you're playing kind of a tougher game.
Yeah, I think it's probably.
ESPN saying that the Dolphins are prepping for Huntley to start in the Week 18 finale. So that's not a good sign for Tua.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit nervous about Huntley, so it's like,
I mean, Huntley played well. Well, also you're playing the Cleveland Browns, who are sinking like the Titanic. But
Oh my God, they're like they're maybe just they're like that meme of everything's fine and like the whole house is on fire.
Yeah, you're just walking away in the background, the house is on fire. It's
Yeah, you're like the
I know what
community
you're
thing
talking
where
about.
Donna Glover gets back and like, oh, I hear the pizza. And it's like, oh my God, what happened?
All right. I have a question for you, gentlemen, to be as non-biased as possible with. If you're going to a rebuild, do you prefer the Cleveland situation or the Cowboys situation?
Cowboys.
Okay. Well, of course, Mr. Bias over here answers first.
Boo! Boo! Boo!
Oh man, I'm not sure the draft pick situation with the Cowboys, if they've given up any draft picks or anything like that. And I'm not trying to be biased either. Yeah, I'd probably go with the Cowboys just because they have Dak Prescott. I mean, I'm not sure how many years Dak Prescott has remaining in his career.
I think like at least a good 4 or 5 years, probably.
But the Cowboys, the running back situation is looking promising. Rico Dowdle, he's good. I know the Browns have Nick Chubb. He might be not all there, and that showed when he returned from his injury. But the Browns have Jerome Ford. Browns have Jerry Jeudy, but then the Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb. So yeah, I would like at least the Cowboys have a quarterback because the Browns do not have a quarterback.
Yeah, and
as much as you want to say Deshaun Watson is the Browns quarterback, he is not our quarterback.
he is your quarterback. He is your quarterback.
1 year DTR, he's a terrible quarterback. He has one touchdown to I think 12 interceptions. So that ratio is garbage. So I'd go with the Cowboys.
All right, we'll see how it goes. And you know what? For the
Doug, you asked the question. I want to hear your answer.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's the Cowboys, but I don't think it's by much. Like, I really don't. I think the Browns have a better coaching situation.
But then they also have a terrible cap hit. That's the only problem.
Well, that's why
the Cowboys are paying everybody too, though. So it's like, so do the Cowboys.
They restructured the contract, so it's good, right?
I mean, we restructured it so we can sign hopefully a quarterback or an offensive lineman over the next couple of years. So I mean, it's not good in the long run, but it's good for the short run, I guess.
Yeah, but I guess I'll say back to the Dolphins. I'm going to give them the 5. I don't think they're going to make the postseason. I mean, we'll hope. I know the backup is a lot better than like the first backup when Tua was out, but still, I think the Broncos are going to win this one. Come on, Broncos country, let's ride. That's what I got to say. That's what Russell Wilson. Let's ride all the way to the victory. And now, gentlemen, we got another game. We got the Green Bay Packers losing to the Minnesota Vikings 27-25. My God, I thought this game was bad. And then they came back. Packers came back super close, but they couldn't get that edge for the failed 2-point conversion right there. So we're going to start with myself. How do I feel about the Packers? Granted, they're still making the postseason, like I said, but they got to play against the Eagles, and that's a tough. I think the Eagles are still going to beat the Packers. I know the Packers are still a young team. 25 is the average age in this team, which is still insane to think that how young this team, they're still making the postseason right now. And it's kind of funny because like last year, they're finishing it with the 11th seed, with the 7th seed. And now this year, they're going to finish the season in the 7th seed. So would history prove, can they beat an NFC East team?
Wait, do they lose the tiebreaker to the Commanders?
I believe yes.
Yeah, right now it says the Commanders are in 6th place and the Packers are in 7th. They both have the same record.
Yeah.
This is per NFL.com.
Yeah, I think you got
to it looks like the Commanders have the tiebreaker.
Yeah, and I think the Commanders are playing against the Cowboys, so it might be the B squad. But I think I'm probably going to give them the 6. I don't know if they can beat the Eagles, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe they might do something and beat another NFC East team like they did last year, and I don't want to talk about it.
Man, last week we all gave the Packers a 7. Well, that was the median, and I'm going to agree with you, Stu, because I don't see – I mean, the Eagles, they're playing red hot, and that's who the Packers will be playing as an away game. The game would be in the city of brotherly love. So yeah, I'm going to downgrade the Packers from a 7 to a 6. I'm agree right there with you, Stu.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks as I think they're 11-5. So like that's they have a chance to go 12-5 and possibly be like a 6 or possibly a 7 seed at 12-5. And that'd be pretty insane to have a 12 seed that's as good as the Lions were last year. But yeah, I mean, I think I got to go with a 6. I mean, I think they could beat the Eagles, but like they got to figure out the late game.
Yeah.
Both teams of the Vikings, they started real slow.
Yeah.
And then they made a push to make it look like it was a close game, and both games the Vikings kind of had control from whistle to whistle. So
yeah, I feel like, to be honest with you, I feel like the Packers, they're good in the end stretch of the game in this Minnesota game, but they need to be good the whole game. That's my biggest complaint. I feel like the Packers have been doing. They've been only good for the late period, and they need to be good in the beginning, middle, and the end.
Well, I mean, they're like 0-5 against the best and against the Lions, Vikings, and Eagles.
Yeah,
like,
it is crazy.
Those are literally all of your losses are to the 3 teams that you'd have to beat on the road.
Yeah, and all of them were close games.
Yeah, I mean, they played them all well and they lost them all. It's like you got to figure out how to win those ones. Maybe they do in the playoffs somehow, but it's hard to imagine it.
Yes, indeed. And now we got the cold like Minnesota, gentlemen. The Minnesota Vikings won this game 25-27. I thought this game was going to be boring, and then it got interesting. But then Minnesota still kept it on. They still kept the W right now. So I will go first. And how do I feel about the Minnesota Vikings, who are still in that wild card? They are fighting still. This is interesting. This is probably the game of the week for next week. Minnesota versus Detroit. Whoever wins it gets a bye. Whoever loses got to play away games.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't get bigger than this.
I'm glad it's another primetime game for the Lions because, like you said, it should be the game of the week.
Way to end the season right there. That's for sure.
And then I think Minnesota can probably beat Tampa. Like, I honestly, even though it's Sam Darnold, his first time making the postseason, I believe as a starter, I think they can probably do it. I think this team's just talented, so I'm going to give them the 7 for right now.
Yeah, I mean, we agreed on the median last week for the Vikings as a 7. I'm not going to stray away from that, but I don't think – I mean, they might even be moving up to an 8. I mean, during next week's podcast, we'll be set in stone. Oh, man, it's hard not to give them an 8, though.
But to be frank, we're putting them as a wild card, and that's a tough road ahead to be a wild card. I mean there has been teams that won the Super Bowl being a wild card.
So here's the thing. Right now, if the playoffs started today, they would be a wild card, but they would more than likely beat the Buccaneers. And we said that the Eagles would beat the Packers, Rams would take care of the Commanders. So that means it'd be the Vikings and the Lions again for the third matchup in the season. This Sunday night game coming up is going to be mightily interesting. So give me a 7 for the Vikings. That might change next Tuesday or Wednesday when we have the next podcast, pending the outcome of that Sunday night game.
It doesn't get bigger than that, really, does it? And I mean, the Vikings are healthy too, and the Lions haven't been, but the Lions might get some guys back. The Vikings, though, man, I mean, they've won 9 straight, I do believe, since their loss to the Lions. They lost to the Rammies pretty good, though. I think that was their only other loss. I mean, this is arguably, if they are a wild card team, this will probably be like one of the best wild card teams of all time for one. But I mean, they have lost to the Lions at home. They don't own the tiebreaker, so it's like hard to envision them technically jumping the Lions for an 8. So they got to be a 7. But man, oh man, they're a fun team. They're good.
It's a fun team. Honestly, this is like a fun wild card team. It's like, oh my goodness, it's like there's
the
no
entire
like
NFC,
bunkers. I feel
top
like
to bottom, the NFC is scary.
Yeah,
like I said last week, I think they have the best wide receiver duo in the NFL.
I honestly could see any one of these.
Ooh, you think they're better than?
Before I made that statement imperative.
Hear me out, gentlemen.
All right.
I think I could see any one of these 7, maybe besides Tampa, make it to the Super Bowl in a weird.
Stu, you make me laugh because I don't get where the Tampa. I mean, if you look at Tampa's schedule, Stu, like their losses were all super close losses to like good teams when they were without their best players.
know. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I'm just not.
Well, I don't get the logic. I guess I don't understand. You're just like, I just
Okay.
don't like them.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I just feel like every other team looks good except for Tampa. Sorry.
How do they not look good though? They just won 48-14.
On a crummy other team, but fine.
I mean, you can disagree. I'm just trying to understand your thought process.
I
Because
just
you just randomly call out the Buccaneers.
I just feel like that this.
Do you know the only team that's beaten both the Lions and the Eagles?
Yeah.
The Buccaneers.
But would the Buccaneers, if you put them in the AFC North, would they make the postseason?
If they were healthy all year, probably.
Okay.
I mean, they're as good as the Steelers.
If you put them in the NFC East, would they make the postseason?
Yeah, they're as good as the Commanders, probably too.
I was about to say that if it would be the Commanders versus the Buccaneers matchup, it might be a different story. I might take the Buccaneers in that matchup.
All right.
And then back to what I was saying, the best duo.
That's why I always say in my argument of like, why is a team of 5 versus 7? If you put them plopped in any one of these teams, would they make the postseason? Would you still think that they would?
I mean, a healthy Buccaneers can play with anybody in the NFL. They showed that by beating the Lions and the Eagles.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we're talking about.
And then I did mention. Sorry to. I mentioned Vikings have the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. I didn't want to make that imperative just yet because after Sunday or Monday night's game, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williamson.
Oh, I was gonna say I think it's Jamar and T. Higgins.
Ooh, yeah. T. Higgins did go off, so yeah. But anyways, let's digress
to the next. Yes, we move on to the next game, which is the Atlanta Falcons losing in overtime. Probably my second favorite game of the week to the Washington Commanders, 24-30 in overtime with 2 minutes and 42 seconds left. So, gentlemen, you know what, Christopher, you get to go first. What is your thoughts about the Atlanta Falcons, who are not in the postseason technically? They should probably be eliminated. They are teams that are basically higher than them, the Seahawks, but they are still in it. So what is your thoughts about the Falcons?
I mean, you guys know how I feel about the Falcons based on the way I talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All the Falcons had to do this past week was beat the Commanders. Applauded them for taking them to overtime, but you didn't get the job done. I know you beat the Buccaneers twice in the season, but that doesn't mean anything when you're down by one game in the standings. So, like I said, the Falcons should win at home in Week 18 here against the Panthers, but also the Buccaneers should win their home game against the Saints. And for this matter, at the end of the day, loss is a loss. Whether you take them to overtime, good job, but a loss is a loss. So, Falcons, you're a 5. What did we give them last week? We agreed.
I gave them a 5, and then actually I can look it up on the list.
And then I gave them a 5. So
yes,
because the median was a 5, so that means I gave them a 5 at least.
Yeah, so it's
I don't know if Doug gave him a 6 or a 5, but
I don't remember, but
yeah. All right. So,
but anyway,
I'm feeling 5-ish as well. Like this team, if they were to make the playoffs, I would get you saying that they look terrible. Like this team would objectively be the worst team to make the NFC playoffs by a landslide.
If not the entire NFL make teams making the playoffs, this would be the worst team to do so.
Oh yeah, I mean they wouldn't no team. I mean they might beat a team, but they can't beat teams that are solid. Really, I don't know how else to say it. They just don't have that clutch gene.
No, and also with Kirk Cousins sitting out, so that doesn't
Yeah, this is another team that needs to find their quarterback.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think about they went from doing so well to then losing to the Saints, losing to the Broncos, losing to the Chargers, losing to Minnesota, then winning to Vegas, the Giants, and then losing to Washington.
Doug, were you about to say something? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they should have ran away with this division. They absolutely should have ran away with it. Then Kirk Cousins decided to have the worst stretch of football imaginable.
Yes.
He was up there with Anthony Richardson. It's just absolutely what are you doing out there?
Hey, he might need a quarterback, Chris. Maybe you want Kirk Cousins in Cleveland?
Well, hopefully, if the Browns are smart, we're not going to go down that avenue. But that's a different tangent.
We're going to put money on Kirk Cousins, maybe.
You guys should sign Sam Darnold. Darnold's
he wants $40 million a year or more.
Yeah,
I was thinking of drafting a quarterback, so we don't have to worry about giving him the rookie contract. So we don't have to worry about signing a veteran because the Browns need to start fresh at this point. But we're talking about
Yeah, and I'll go with the Falcons. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like this Falcons team is a 4. I agree with Douglas. I don't think this team is good. I don't think this team. To be frank, if this was not, and I think we should do and I should have the rule. If the Falcons were not in the NFC South, gentlemen, would they make the postseason? They would still be eliminated. We would write their eulogy at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, they'd be eliminated.
I like this tangent. You always ask us, if this team was not in the current division. I'm not sure where.
Yeah, I always kind of want to see.
I like that question, but
yeah, that's why I want to ask that question because
if they were in any other division, they would still miss the playoffs.
Yeah, they would miss the playoffs. We would ask for their eulogy, so that's why I think I'm going to give them the 4 for right now. And
so, Stu, can we go on that logic for past Cowboys teams and say, like if they didn't get to play the Giants and the Commanders 4 times a year, like you could make an argument for any division. Because the Cowboys get to sit there and play 2 of the worst teams in the NFL over the past decade 4 times a year.
Hey, it was not my problem. Hey, it's not my problem that the Giants have terrible ownership.
Well, that's what we're saying, though. It's like, tomato, they're still in the playoff combo.
Okay. I'm just saying. But anyway, I think the Falcons are this is probably the worst team in the NFL that's currently not eliminated from the playoffs as of right now. I will put that. I think, honestly, the Dolphins are a better team than the Falcons.
Yeah, I would say the Dolphins would be favored in that game.
Yeah, I think the Bengals would destroy the Falcons.
I think a lot of teams that are possibly eliminated from the playoffs would be
the Seahawks would beat them. I think the Cardinals would beat them. Heck, they even lost to the Saints at one point.
Yep. They're bad.
They're bad. And then now, gentlemen, we got to talk about these Washington Commanders right over here, who won this game, and just for that, they punched their tickets to the postseason. Yeah. Let's go to the wild card for the Commanders, who are commanding their way into. Actually, I think last week they did punch their season. They would have to play against the Rams. So, Christopher, you get to go first. What is your thoughts about the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels?
Last week we all decided the median for the Commanders was a 6. I'm going to keep them right there as a 6. Reason being, I mentioned to you guys how I felt about the Rams. The Rams are stepping up their game, their A game for the defensive end of their roster. Commanders, they play on the road against the Cowboys on Sunday. It's either between the Commanders or the Packers for the 6 or 7. Who do the Packers play on this upcoming Sunday?
The Packers got to play. Actually, that is a good question.
The Packers play home against the Bears. So based off that, I believe both teams will win. So that means Commanders will probably get the 6th seed. Packers remain at the 7th seed. Commanders play the Rams. I love Jaden Daniels as a rookie quarterback. Scary Terry McLaurin from Ohio State. Great wide receiver when he needs to be one. But yeah, I see the Rams beating them. So yeah, keep me at a 6 for the Commanders.
All right, Douglas. And what is your thoughts, I guess, on the Commanders? And I think you're thinking the same thing that Chris is thinking, but we'll see what your thoughts are.
They're similar. And then I was just thinking about how many elite wide receivers come out of Ohio State. Holy guacamole.
There's a lot of good
wide receivers, not good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That is true. We are probably the best wide receiver. We should get the Hall.
Yeah, you guys are probably wide receiver right now. I mean, you guys got Marvin Harrison and Olave and Garrett Wilson and McLaurin and Jackson Smith and Jigba and.
Oh my goodness! And then especially like what we're having right now. I mean, I know we're not talking about college football, but I mean for next year with like how many wide receivers are going to go to the draft for Ohio State?
In college you have to wait till 2 years of playing time to make it to the NFL draft. So Jeremiah Smith, he's a rookie right now or a freshman. So in 2 years when he's able to enter the draft, he might be scary. Depends on how his sophomore season goes. But
I digress. We got to talk about the Commanders. So what would you think you want to put the Commanders at?
Give me a 2. Just kidding.
No, No.
They're a nice 6. I mean, them versus the Rams is a good game, man. That's the NFC playoff picture is fun.
Yes. And how do I feel about the Commanders right now? I can't believe it. I feel like now we're back to rivalry with the Commanders. It used to not be rivals. I remember the good old glory days when Dan Snyder was another one. This team was garbage, and I could laugh all the way. And now the team looks legit. I still feel like they're still a 6 for right now. I don't know if they can beat. That's a tough. I mean, they would have to play against the Rams, and I don't know if they can beat the Rams right now. I mean, it would be interesting with Jaden Daniels. Maybe he can get a W and get a win, but I don't know. I think it's probably for right now. I'd probably give the Commanders the 6 right now. And finally, Douglas, we got to talk about your Lions. Where, oh my God, I thought your Lions were going to lose this game.
You know what's beautiful about the Lions still? Everything. They're just poetry in motion still.
Yeah.
You can bottle them up for a little bit, but at the end of the day, and that's the thing that they forget, though. People just assume the Lions got no defense, and it's bad right now. But their offense, is so unbelievable that they can make up for a lot of that. Because, they've just adapted their style to, learn how to control the game late. They can run clock like no other, man. It's so frustrating for other teams. I have to imagine watching the Lions with the ball late. Because, the Lions can just sit there and pick up first downs and run clocks. Jahmyr Gibbs can get in space, and he's unbelievable. Amon-Ra's always open. Now that Jameson Williams, dude, holy crap. Like Chris was saying, they're one of the better duos in the league. If you you have all 3 layers accounted for. You have Gibbs, who's we'll call him the 3rd best running back in the league, but I'm like, man, oh man, he might be in 1A, 1B category, I think. Dude, watch Gibbs play, dude. He can catch, he can run. His numbers are amazing. He just has shared carries all year, so he's healthy.
Yes.
But holy crap, is he good.
Yes.
And Anzalone might be coming back. Their defensive player, they have a lot of players that might come back for the playoffs. So if they can lock up this bye and get a little bit healthy, man, woo.
Yeah, but it's so funny because I'm at work and there's a lot of people that are Lions fans and they're just I'm so scared. We're going to lose. We lost a lot of players and this is not looking good.
See, I have such confidence in Jared Goff and Dan Campbell that, I don't know. There's just a weird feeling that I have that this team, throw 5 interceptions, they'll figure it out. Even that Bills game, they just kept coming back and, they always have an answer to, it's just kind of crazy how efficient they are. And, on 4th down, it doesn't matter. It seems like they always execute. And, this team is they're just kind of finding a way now. And, they're doing a little bit of what the Chiefs did earlier in the year. They're showing that they can win those kind of tough, gritty games there at the end. They can make a play when they need it. They got 2 late interceptions against Brock Purdy. Just needs to do, man. That dude doesn't throw picks, and Kirby Joseph got him twice. So, I'll give him a solid 8. If they lose to Minnesota, it's obviously a lot harder. But they went 8-0 on the road this year, gentlemen, so it's not impossible even if they lose this game.
Yeah, I definitely do feel like this Lions team does look legit. I think this is a tough one I got to think about for next week because I'm like, can they beat Minnesota? I feel like there's a 50-50 coin flip right now.
It might be 2 of the hottest teams in the NFL.
2 of the hottest teams in the NFL. 2 teams that honestly I think they could make the Super Bowl, which is crazy to think. Detroit making a Super Bowl, which has never happened in the post-Super Bowl era. And Minnesota, it's been since the 70s. The Purple People Eaters when they lost against the Steelers. Yes. So it's crazy to think that 2 teams that we have not seen in a really long time make it this far. So I feel like I'm still going to give them the 8. I don't know if I feel confident if I can give them that 9 to get to the Super Bowl. I don't think any of these NFC teams, because we look at that stat. That's a scary stat of teams that are making the postseason right now. Honestly, I can think of 6 out of 7 that I think they can make the Super Bowl. Legitimately.
I'd say all 7.
You think all 7? Okay. You think all 7? Which is so funny because the AFC, I just think there's 3 and then there's the rest.
I'll say I think there's probably 12 out of 14 that could make a legitimate run.
Yeah.
And that'll be interesting.
And now, Christopher, what is your thoughts about the Lions?
Give me an 8. And I say that because, last week we gave them an 8. And like Doug said, man, this team is so well put together. Running, receiving, passing, defense. Yeah, they've got their tears and their bruises and their bumps. But they find ways to win, and that is exactly what happened on Monday night. Yeah, they're down at half. Dan Campbell didn't look too happy about it, but Dan Campbell doesn't really look too happy anytime during a game. After the game when they win, absolutely. But he turned that second half around into the favor of the Lions. Came back and won. But yeah, this Sunday night, like I said earlier, this Sunday night is going to determine a lot whether the Lions move from. Well, I'd still probably keep the Lions as an 8, but whether the Vikings move from a 7 to an 8, who wins the division, who's a wild card? Because man, this Sunday night is going to be incredible.
Well,
I was also thinking that if the Lions, knock on wood, do make the Super Bowl, hopefully they do. If they play any other team besides the Ravens, I think this might be one of the highest scoring Super Bowls because, like Doug was saying, they know how to put the ball in the end zone. They find ways of scoring. So yeah, the Chiefs' defense isn't the greatest. The Bills, they know how to give up a lot of points too. So yeah, as long as it's not against the Ravens, and if the Lions are in the Super Bowl, this Super Bowl might be a very entertaining one, scoring wise, high scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But anyway, we just got done with all our players, and look at that. We still have plenty of time to talk about our wagers of the week, where I got some $5 right now from Buckaroonies
No.
from Douglas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then I freaking
And
lost $5.
Doug did text us saying he already paid you. So
Yes, and then
right
I got
there.
Chris $5. I'm sorry, I forgot to do
Well,
that.
see, here's the thing. You don't have to pay me. And I say that because earlier, a few weeks back, well, more than a few weeks back, we made it's not up here, but we made a bet, Stu and I, that I said that the Dolphins will win a playoff game. And if the Dolphins, it was a $5 bet, if the Dolphins do not make the playoffs, we can erase the $5 that you owe me. Because right now you owe me $5. If this bet doesn't happen with the Dolphins winning the playoff, I would owe you $5 so that can cancel out. We'll see. Otherwise, you may owe me $5, but
Alrighty.
it's not looking too good for the Dolphins even making the playoffs.
But let's be honest. Does anyone want to put for the Broncos? I'm picking the Broncos right now.
Man,
No,
yeah.
I'm
Once
not
Doug
gonna work.
said that the Broncos were favored by 10.5, I don't feel confident in the Chiefs.
You do not
No,
feel confident? Nobody's feeling confident with the Chiefs?
No, I'm not gonna take that one.
Nobody's going to. So is the wager of the week the nobody takes the wagers?
You don't
I
have
mean,
any wagers.
If anybody wants to take the Vikings, like I'll put $5 on my Lions.
I don't know. I just.
I like the Lions at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Stuart, you muted yourself. Can't hear you.
Oh no.
Oh no, darn.
Amateur.
Doug and I will finish the podcast. Nope. There we go.
Anyways, look, I said, see you later, Mr.
See you later. No.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. But anyway, I guess we will have no wagers of the week.
Yeah,
gentlemen.
you could probably erase those wagers.
Yes, we have
Since
zero
they're
wagers.
no longer
Wait,
valid.
the top one still. I still got Bills over the Chiefs for you.
Oh yeah. So yeah, maybe undo.
Yeah,
If
there's
there's
still
undo
one more.
button.
I got the Bills. You got the Chiefs still.
Oh
There you go. So
yeah,
we-
I totally forgot about that. We totally forgot about that. But yep, we'll still figure out this one. And then the final stock options of the week. Douglas, nothing has changed. I mean, I guess the Buccaneers. Christopher did get some money on the Buccaneers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Buccaneers.
looks
We moved them up from a 5 to a 6.
Oh, it looks like Stu. Looks like your bet already is going to cancel with Chris because he's going to win this.
Yeah.
This was a $5 bet as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a $5 bet, so it looks like it's going to be.
Well, Stuart, at least alter the Buccaneers from a 5 to a 6.
Yes, and you got some money. So what do you want to do for the final week? Where are we going to, my God.
And then Stu, the Ravens didn't change. The only thing I changed was the Buccaneers.
So
So
Chris,
Stuart, you're at
51.
28. I'm now at 51.
And Douglas, nothing changed.
Nothing changed. I'm going to stick with it.
You're sticking with the Lions? All right, Christopher, what do you want to do with your
Let me see some matchups for this week. I mean, the Buccaneers. I'm just gonna keep them because the Buccaneers. They're not gonna more than likely based on the matchups I told you guys about. Buccaneers against the Saints at home. I don't see them losing.
How mad would you be if they freaking lose? And
I was
you
gonna
lose
say,
all
I respect it because you're leaving some risk there. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I got $51. If they lose, they'll drop from a 6 to a 5 more than likely, unless
They'll be eliminated. So you'll lose all that money. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, because they'll be eliminated.
Yes. So that's why you might want to pick a team that can't be eliminated.
Oh yeah, totally right. If a team gets eliminated, you go to 0. Woo!
Yeah.
All right, wait. Stu, you go to you, and then we'll come back to me because I'm going to change that thing up more than likely.
Yeah, you can secure $5 pretty much. You could just theoretically take your money and run and just win it right now too.
Let's see. So I got 51. Let's see, who are the Eagles playing? Oh, the Eagles are playing. But they're not playing Saquon Barkley, so they could. But they're not going to get eliminated. Let's see. Trying to do the mathematics here. Let's see. Man. It's hard to make up 51 when you got a bunch of 8s, 7s, and 6s. So let me do 48, 40. Let's see here. Oh, I know what I could do. No, because I'm at 51. Man, okay, I'm just gonna make it easy. Give me Ravens. They're at a 7. So I guess put me at 7 shares of Ravens, and I guess I'll just not use $2 if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be smart on that.
Yeah. Stu, you muted yourself again.
Yeah, Stu.
Well, Stu, you basically have to switch to actually have any chance of catching Chris.
I know this is like tough, but there's like nobody that's gonna like jump up or like change. Like,
Yeah, Stu, if anything, you'd have to pick a 7, like a 7 that you think is going to bump up from a 7 to an 8.
I mean, yeah, you could take the Vikings, Stu.
Yeah, if you think the Vikings are going to beat the Lions, or if you think I already picked the Ravens. So I think the
you
Ravens.
know what?
Could,
I think I'll go.
or unless
Yeah,
you think
let's do Vikings.
Ooh, all right, let's go.
And I think even if they lose, they're still going to be in the same spot. So it's not even like nothing's going to change.
Yeah, you're not going to be eliminated by any means.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to give, and then they're a 7, and then if
the Vikings do win against the Lions in Detroit, they possibly could bump up to an 8. Depends on how that
and
game
then
goes.
Doug loses even more money.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if the Vikings blow them out like 48-0, I'd probably put the Vikings up to an 8. But
yeah, we'll put it right there. Let's roll the dice.
Right.
And that is it, gentlemen. We got done with our podcast. So this is going to be interesting. So next week, we're in an interesting part of the podcast right now because we are not going to recap Week 18 for the NFL. We're going to talk about pros and cons. We're going to do our final eulogies on this one. So I guess we'll say it. Falcons, we're going to do their eulogy next week? Yes or no? Hell yes.
I mean, I'm very confident the Falcons will be out of the playoffs by next week.
Yes. And then I guess the other two, will the Dolphins and Bengals, are we going to do their eulogy next week or no?
Based off the spread that Vegas is giving the Broncos, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Dolphins and Bengals will be eliminated.
Yes. So that we'll probably do the eulogy for the final 3 teams that didn't make it. And now we're going to talk about pros and cons for each of the teams that made the postseason. And we're going to decide to do some bets and see who is going to make the postseason and who is not.
They're already in the postseason.
No, I mean, not the postseason, but who's going to make it next? Who's going to make the next round?
Mm.
Okay. Or we could always make our own picks, and then whoever has the best bracket.
Yeah, that could be a fun
Whatever
one.
you want to do, Stu, you let us know.
And I guess I would say, so that will be next week. And next week, or sometime this week, we're going to try to finish the college football to the Final Four. It's actually been very good this week, I will say this. Aside from my Buckeyes winning right now decisively. That's going to be fun.
What was that much better about it? We had 2 17-plus point wins.
Yeah.
We can't be biased, even though we're Buckeyes fans up here.
That was a great game.
I'm pretty sure that game to the majority of America was boring. But we can talk about that at a later time.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching Dan Lanning pretty upset because that dude was a troll to Michigan. So, get out of here. Michigan beat Ohio State so they can sleep good at night.
Yeah, Doug sleeps easily every night because of Michigan.
We can all sleep happy tonight, gentlemen.
Yeah, we can all sleep happy tonight. The Oregon, the Duckies, unfortunately, are out. And so, like I said, is there any final thoughts about Week 17 before we go?
Final thoughts. Let's go Lions. I really want them to be the 1 seed. Let's go Lions.
Let's go Joe Burrow sneak in there and give the Bills and Chiefs something to fear.
Yes, and I'm just going to say, go Pats. Let's go, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, I thought you were saying like go Pats, go, like go Patriots. I'm like, why do you want the Patriots?
Yes,
No,
we
no,
won't
no.
see Mahomesy for probably like 3 weeks now.
I know. Mahomes just going to be sitting right there.
He's
Taylor
gonna get
Swift's probably not
rusty.
going to show up. She's not going to this Broncos game. Let's be honest.
Stu, he's gonna get rusty, man. It's too much time to sit away.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, and then us giving him the 8 and the 9 all season is going to go down the window.
Alrighty.
Or out the window, down the drain.
But anyway, as always, I will catch you later, Mr. Gators. As always, take care. Bye-bye.